I'm Braylon, and today we're here at the tide pools where anemones are a very common sight to see. Now here I have two Starburst anemones, and as you can see, they have a very vibrant green color, and that's because they get their food in some peculiar ways. And they're very similar to coral and some jellyfish because they have something special called symbiotic algae, which is a type of algae called zooxanthellae that lives inside of the anemone's tissue, similarly to coral, and it accounts for about 50% of its food source. Now, the other 50% of its food source comes from eating. As you can see, it has rows and rows of tentacles, and they're just covered in these special stinging cells called nematocysts. And here, when the current stops flowing, as you can see, when I put my finger into the anemone, it tries to latch onto me. And that would happen to and that's for capturing prey like a hermit crab or a snail, whereas if it would run into the nematocysts, the special stinging cells would latch onto the victim and pull it into its mouth, which is right here. And another interesting thing about these anemones is that their mouth also acts as their anus. They excrete poop and waste through that mouth. Now, as you can see, the tide pools are a very harsh environment to live in. There's constant waves and water rushing over these anemones, so they have to be very durable to live in an environment like this. Sometimes they're even exposed to the air when the tide is low. And as you can see here, here's one that's exposed to air, and the anemones have shells and bits of rock covering their bodies that reflect the sun's rays and so that they don't get baked in the hot sun. And if I try and pull one of these guys off, you see they're just stuck on that rock, and they have a very strong thing called a basal disc, which basically acts like glue. It glues the anemone to the rock, making sure that no currents, nothing rips them off. So that's all for today on anemones. I'm Braylon, and thanks for watching.